Hi, my name is Danita Sept, and this video is about the Moody Centre out-of-school daycare crunch. I've been asked by many parents to describe the situation, so I thought making a video would be the best way to describe it. So in Moody Centre, if this gray area can be thought of as the existing out-of-school daycare spaces, it's approximately 25 children out of every 100 go to daycare. There's also some vacant spaces, someplace between 9 and 13 spaces on any given week. And then this purple area is the number of new spaces that will be needed for next school year, for September 2022. And that is a result of rapid development in the area, as well as last year there was a hesitancy because of COVID for some families to start kindergarten, so they delayed starting. So what we've got is one big kindergarten class that's going to be going through. And so from what I can see, there's a need for an additional 15 to 20 at least daycare spaces in the area. And that is supported by our waiting list, as well as talking with other daycare operators. There's a challenge creating spaces in the area. It's been difficult for over 5 years now. There's always been the outdoor play space issue, but there's a few other contributing factors. There's very few single detached homes in the area, and those would be the ones that would naturally lend themselves to being home daycares. So less likelihood that home daycares will spring up to accommodate this need. The commercial rent is very high in the area, and it's too high to be easily supported by just a before and after school daycare, because they only have 6 hours of revenue per day. It's not enough to offset the high commercial rent. So then you're looking at a sublet type situation, church basement, a studio that has some hours that are available. Now, COVID has destabilized some of the businesses that have studio space that would have been options for sublet before, and they can no longer commit to a year-long contract because they don't feel that they're stable enough to make that type of commitment. As well, the Port Moody Daycare Action Plan is going to add a significant number of spaces to the area in the short term. So if you look at the highlighted ones there, the 60 and the 49, those would be in the exact area right around Moody Elementary School. So a little over 100 spaces, but those spaces are not going in soon enough to accommodate the September 2022 demand. But the fact that they're going to be built in the future, that makes it risky for daycare providers to do any renovations to accommodate this sudden demand, because the action plan spaces could displace them unless a fee reduction comes in at the same time, kind of correlated with the new spaces to spur additional demand to go to the type of ratios that are talked about in the action plan. Now, those fee reductions are in the works, so it's not impossible that they might come in, but the fact that there's no correlation between the action plan and when those spaces are coming in makes it risky for daycares, because daycares have very low margins, and if they have to sustain several months where there's been additional spaces put in, especially if they're given, the new spaces are given a break on rent and taxes, it's quite likely that the existing daycares will be displaced. And so then if they take out any loans for renovations, they would not be repaid by that time. A loan for a renovation can easily be between $20,000 and $60,000, even in a place that is otherwise quite licensable, but just adding new bathrooms, bathroom stalls, and putting in everything you need for a daycare. So there's a timing issue. The families need these daycare spaces now, but the action plan spaces won't be ready for a bit of time now. Correct me, I stand to be corrected if any of them could go in to meet this demand, but I don't think there's any of those on the list that would be that close to being ready. Now, normally daycares have sprung up to meet daycare demand fluctuations, and a new daycare will spring up and it's pretty fluid, but with the increased risk, plus the fact that it's difficult in the area to find licensable space anyway, and the fact that there's no solid plans in the action plan to correlate the rollout of new spaces with fee reductions, it makes it less and less likely that daycares will want to take on that risk just to go and meet this demand. So there's a very logical solution. These daycare spaces, I believe, should be housed at, or they should look at the possibility of housing them at the existing Moody Elementary School. It's licensable space. It's had a daycare before. It's got the right number of bathrooms. And the city and the school are working together now to work on pressing daycare issues. I think this would be a natural one for them to try and solve. And the children enrolled in those spaces could then move over to the new action plan spaces once the new school was built. And it would be a seamless transition from a community's perspective. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to any comments you have. As is the motto for this channel, discussion is the basis for good decision making. Thank you so much.